other Nova Scotia-inspired clothing line is seeing success. This one's based out of the South Shore. Our community contact, Shelley McCorriston, is on the line to tell us about it. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning, Portia. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. How about you so far?
I'm tired, but I'm managing.
A little time to wake up yet, maybe a little coffee will help you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tell us about this clothing brand, what it's called and who's behind it.
Yeah, so the clothing brand is Noreaster Apparel, and it was started by a guy named Jay Hiltz. He's a guy, he grew up in Martins Point, which if you're familiar with the area, you might not even be familiar with that little tiny town because it's just a blink if you'll miss it, village between Chester and Mahone Bay. Mm-hmm. He went to NASCAD in Halifax after school and then packed his bags to go live, work, and see other parts of Canada. And then one summer, he decided that he wanted to come home for a visit, and then he just never left. And now he wants to prove that you don't have to compromise on where you live. You can build the life that you want and be successful at it anywhere.
Okay, and does he have a background in fashion?
Well, the short answer is no. He's kind of a self-proclaimed hustler. His background is in branding and marketing. He did that for 15 years, making other companies successful. Then he decided he wanted to take what he learned and apply it to his own business. He started out designing tea towels, believe it or not, that he wanted to display in his own rental company or his rental cottages. And those tea towels and the business behind those tea towels actually still exist to this day and are thriving. Then, over time he thought, well, maybe I'll try my hand out at clothing. Everybody needs clothing, even though there's a lot of, clothing brands and clothing options out there. People continue to want to remain clothed. So let's continue to want to build other businesses around clothing.
Right. There will be demand there.
There might still be a demand there as long as we remain that kind of a society. So he knew branching out into e-commerce would be a challenge. It's not something he was familiar with at that time, but he had a big idea of what he wanted to do. So he moved forward, and that, in a nutshell, is how Noreaster Apparel was born. He invested his savings. He bought his first batch of T-shirts and other apparel 4 years ago, and he started small at local farmers markets with tables, and then he reinvested what he earned, put it back into his business, and 4 years later, the growth of this company is off the chart.
And you mentioned e-commerce, so there's these, at the markets, but there's also, he sells online.
He does sell online, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, he's a calculated risk taker. He read all the blogs about, what you should expect your company to look like in a year, 5 years, 10 years when you're branching out into an online business or any business for that matter. But the company is leaps and bounds beyond those projections of those blogs. And he did. He started out online, it was an online company, and then from there, 2 years into it, he decided to purchase what is known as the fashion truck, so to speak. And this fashion truck allowed people to come in. It's kind of like a micro store, I guess, if I was going to describe it. It's just a trailer that he kind of worked to turn into a store to house all of his apparel that he can hook onto any vehicle and take on the road to events and markets. And once that trailer hit the scene, things kind of took off for him in a big way, to the point that I'll say this, there's been no official announcement from the company yet, but I trust that the buzz is true, that Jay's talking about potentially opening a storefront in Halifax next year.
Oh, wow. So his plans have really, really taken off if he's planning bricks and mortar. Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. It's like I said, the growth is exponential from where he thought he would be, 4 years in.
Well, let's talk about why it's so popular then. He designs everything himself. What are some of his designs?
Yeah, so he is the mastermind behind the designs. He does, now that he has a bigger social media following, vet his designs to the masses. But in the end, he has the final say. But it's nice to know that the people that are buying your product like the designs of your clothing. Obviously, that would turn into success for anybody. So I think what makes his clothing line exceptional is he takes these really very South Shore heavy sayings and puts them on really good quality apparel. So frig sakes, or yeah, no, for sure, or some good, or right on. Like those are things that I've grown up listening to. I'm from the South Shore. That's something that's very common phrases in my house. And I'm really pushing for him to put dirty dyeing on a t-shirt.
Oh, dirty dyeing? I don't know that
Dirty
one.
dyeing.
What is that?
It's just like when something happens and you're just like, oh, dirty dyeing. It's really just to curb you from cursing at a situation, really.
Okay. Like a few of these expressions are, frig sakes being one of them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
and, well, people are eating it up. People love that. People love their culture, and they love seeing things that they grew up with on things that they can buy.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I think that's why it's just taken off.
Yeah. And where does he make his clothing?
Yeah, so everything that they carry is designed, printed, packaged, and shipped from Jay's own studio at Martin's Point. And they use a traditional screen printing technique. And they have other products as well. They have license plate chains, tote bags. Like they have hats. They have some hats that I really want. Hint, hint, if my wife is listening, Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you've dropped a heavy hint there. He's doing pop-up markets too. Is this where he takes his fashion truck, or?
Yeah, so this is a relatively new thing for him. He's taken his fashion truck around to different places that have these markets. But this in September, that was his first time actually doing his own pop-up market. You know, because Jay's vision for his company doesn't stop and end with him. He's working hard to empower other local businesses and artisans to build their success right alongside him. So in September just passed, he hosted his first ever Martin's Point pop-up market, where locally crafted products and their creators could come and set up on his print shop property and sell their stuff. And when I say it was a huge success, I feel like I'm underselling it, because they had over 2,000 shoppers, and collectively the vendors pulled in over $15,000.
Oh wow, that's big buzz.
That's big money. That's big money for small, tiny, rural village community life, and big money for vendors who probably don't see that kind of money rolling through every day. So, you know, like it's wonderful. And, you know, throughout this pandemic, we keep hearing shop local, but then we hear that it's the businesses like Amazon that are actually capitalizing in the end. And Jay really understands the ripple effect of benefits of buying local. So in November, so November 20th from 4 to 8 p.m., he's hosting his first night market at his print shop, Martin's Point. And I believe that right now, as it stands, I think that I've seen that over 20 vendors have signed up to attend this market. And he tells me that they're all going to collectively come together under thousands of twinkle lights with flavored hot chocolate, fire pits, and music, which sounds pretty wonderful.
It sounds great.
And I think, yeah, it does sound great, doesn't it? It sounds like something you'd want to gravitate towards.
It sure does. I'll give the address in just a moment. Shelley, we have to go, but this is a fabulous success story, and I love it that he's sharing his wisdom. Shelley, we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Again, that market is at 6925